From glory holes to wearing a sexy mask, there has been a lot that has been said around having safe sex during this time of COVID. I mean, COVID is changing up so many things, and our relationship spaces are that. So this video is a lot about how can you have sex and be safe when you are having sex in COVID. Hey, my name is Kiri of Kiri Sutra, and I give love, sex, and relationship advice with BIPOC and queer folk in mind. And today we're talking about having safe sex during this time of COVID. I get it, I know. COVID has just changed so much in our lives, and our sex lives are no different. So let's just dive in to some really great and creative ways that we can actually really tackle this space of sex when we are dealing with COVID too. Now, some key points about COVID that is known. One is that the virus has been detected in semen, and they're not sure about vaginal fluid yet, but they definitely know that it's been showing up in semen, and it definitely shows up in poop. So that's kind of two places that you may want to be very careful about when you are interacting and being intimate when we are in COVID. It's really a challenge now to meet up with somebody or hook up with somebody that you don't know. If you are still in those spaces and having those kinds of interactions, I'm not mad at you, because one thing that's happening is isolation has been even larger. But if you are in that kind of zone, my advice would be to make sure that you screen the prospective person and hope you know them well enough that they're going to tell you the truth. Ask them if they have left the country anytime in the last month or so. Ask them by chance if they have been in spaces where there has been a COVID outbreak. Ask them if they're feeling sick, have they have any coughs, any direct chest pains that may be happening, as these are sometimes indicators. See if they have a runny nose, any kind of flu symptom that may be indicative of something else, because let's be honest, y'all, the COVID numbers are rising. People can be asymptomatic and it not show up, but if somebody is visibly showing some signs, it may not be the best place for you. I know we can be horny, but sometimes you gotta think with the right head and not anyone's of the lower heads. If there are definitive signs, please refrain, or at least make sure you're wearing a handy mask. Shout out to a dear friend of mine who created these, and she donates them. This is a beautiful thing. If you're interested in getting one of these masks, click the link below. I will have her information in the chat. Now, some ways to be able to still have sex and not, put yourself at risk. There are still some really safe ways. And one of those ways is to have cyber sex. I know it's not the same thing as close interaction, but there's something about being kind of a virtuoso, or a virtual virtuoso, so to speak. There's something about that voyeur space where you can look but not touch. Maybe having like a date online with a partner, having a sexy session where you're on anything but Zoom, because Zoom will actually ban your account if they notice that there's nudity on it. But there's other platforms that you guys can get together and have some sexy time. There's a lot of ways to be expressive and to build closeness, and while that may not be the best way, it's better than coming down with an illness that is so affecting so many of us. And it's that responsibility that we take when we try to alter these spaces. So if you are going to choose to get intimate with somebody, we talked a little bit about it, but I'm gonna bring it up again, using a mask. It's been recommended by our medical professionals to actually use a mask while having intercourse, and that can be really weird. I know when I first heard it, I kind of rolled my eyes, but there are some really sexy masks that you could use and put into play. Once again, mask play is actually a new way to be in a turn-on zone. And if you get creative with it, you could start maybe role-playing with the mask, using the mask as a prop, a real way to kind of become somebody else. Maybe you can be that stranger in the night versus it being your regular partner. Masks can be an interesting way to switch things up and to create a new space for you and your sexuality. So masks, why not? Now, another recommendation that was just issued by the Ontario, because I'm in Canada, so I'm referencing my local spaces, a new recommendation that has been made is to actually have sex in positions that do not leave you face to face. So the idea now of taking a back shot, which, you know, means just maybe doing a reverse cowgirl, or, you know, you being entered by the rear or penetrated by the rear. Those are new, or not so new, but definitely safe ways now that the two of you or you and your partners can experience sexuality. Saliva is traveling, and we know that the virus can travel in between, so breathing in front of each other can be challenging. So just keep that in mind when you are engaging and having a good time. Now, this is a surefire one, and I really am just loving this idea. I talk a lot about self-pleasure and masturbation being a thing. Well, in this time of COVID, masturbation becomes even much more of a thing. It's such a benefit to you to be able to, now being the time, to have that self-pleasure practice and learn how to bring self-gratification to yourself and your body. You are your own temple, and if you can't get out to meet somebody new, that doesn't mean that sexy time has to end. Develop a process of self-love. Find a vibrator or a toy that can complement and enhance your self-pleasure practice. Find maybe a brand new massager. There are so many different ways that you can fall into this beautiful space of self-pleasure. Even a jade egg, which is another video that I've done. If you want to check it out, it's right here. Or we can talk all about toys. There's another video that I've done about that. That's right here. Check them out. They're really good starting places to learn about how beautiful our own self-pleasure practices can be. Before and after you engage with a new partner, especially in these times of COVID, but this is actually just good advice at any time, is to make sure that every part of you is clean. So wash your body parts with soap and water before you engage in sex and right afterwards. If you can get to the virus, it's highly contagious, but if you can wash your body, that would make such a difference. And at the very least, even if you can't get to bathe right away, I know sometimes it's a hookup and you're not necessarily at home, make sure that you wash your hands and your mouth and your face thoroughly. Make sure that you are washing or using alcohol to just touch those areas where the virus can sit and stay. Make sure you wash any toys that might have been used, anything that might have come into contact, put it in the wash right away after you've had an experience with somebody who maybe is not your closest partner. And that takes me to another point is, if you can, it's such a great time to just have one partner in your love space. This is a time where, you know, if you can connect with somebody who's in your bubble and just continue to create that bubble, then they are safer. It may not be the best time to be out there and having multiple partners, because it just puts you and your loved ones at risk. So just give yourself this moment to breathe in, and maybe it's a new opportunity to build into this special relationship you have with your partner. Also think about using condoms, lubricants, dental dams. those will also help you in creating extra barriers between you and any bodily fluids that your partner and you will exchange. If that's in place, it will minimize that space and give you one extra layer in this fight against COVID. So I know that it's not always the most fun, but it's definitely the time to think about pulling out the condoms, pulling out the dental dams, pulling those things out. If you have stuck around this long, I really want to say thank you. I would love if you could like, subscribe, and hit the bell to my videos, because that helps it go through the YouTube stuff that it does and spreads the word. And also, I enjoy this time that we get to sit together and just do this vibing. These are messages and really important things that I think we need to get out there, and I appreciate you spending this time with me. So in light of this time, I know it is tough. Being under the restrictions and the things that we're going through with COVID sucks. Like, there's just nothing great about it. But I recognize, and I think it's important to say, that this is not going to be our all the time, but it is definitely our time now. And we've got to grit in and do what we can to help stem this tide until we can move into the next phase of this. So as you are moving through it, know that it is a challenge, and I sympathize. I really get it. I don't, in fact, live with my partner, so it's been difficult and very isolating to be alone. And we've had to come up with some very creative ways to be together too. And while it's been challenging, there's been some goodness in it. We really have gotten involved and liking that cyber room place. Being able to see each other from a distance is creating a real loving space as well. And as we move through this, just consider that you can be creative, that you can change things up, that it doesn't have to be boring or feel like you are alone. Connect in as much as you can and stay safe as we get through this time. Speaking about masturbation and a self-pleasure practice, I am so excited to give you a peek at my Love and Touch program. It is a self-contained self-pleasure method that is actually going to guarantee you a surefire way to up your sexy time, and it comes at an amazing price. Grab it as soon as you can. If you're watching this video between the months of December, there is a link in this bio, and my Love and Touch program is available and ready for you. Don't miss it. It is a hot ticket, and it will definitely make you smile.